Hello everyone. In the 1930s, German government confiscated all the firearms from its people. And in the 1940s, about 6 million of Jews, along with other inferiors, were killed under Hitler's fascist regime. Today, before I start my presentation, I want to ask all of you a question. Would the Holocaust become less catastrophic if Jews had guns to defend themselves? So raise your hands up if you think the answer is yes. Thank you. So Elie Wiesel, an 89-year-old man, was one of the few people who survived from the Nazi genocide in World War II. He was sent to a concentration camp in Poland and wrote down his tragic life as a slave and prisoner in the camp, which later becomes the famous novel Night. Apparently, Elie Wiesel is also one of the luckiest people who not only survived from the war, but also got famous because of it. But how about the majority of Jews? They were tortured, murdered, and burned in Holocaust, regardless of sex and age. If they had guns in self-defense, the history may have changed. And here in Canada, gun control has become stricter and stricter over time. People had to have permissions to own guns for the first time in 1982. And afterwards, a number of firearms was restricted or banned, and many rules were set up to do with firearms owners. But the issue of guns ownership is always controversial, having people agree and disagree. So today, I'm going to stand on the supporter side and talk about some disadvantages of prohibiting guns. I know the main reason causing the hatred of guns is that shooting incidents occur too frequently nowadays. Just about 3 months ago, a gun violence just happened on the Danforth in Toronto, causing 2 deaths and 13 injuries. This has shocked every citizen in Canada, and again intensified people's discussion about the ownership of guns. Many people argue that a law prohibiting guns would be the most direct and efficient solution to the increasing crime rate in Canada. But if they think in the opposite side, they will notice that this is not as easy as saying, and most importantly, may result in some serious consequences, such as stripping away most citizens the ability to defend themselves and encouraging the absolute power of the federal government. Okay, so let's now assume that Canada has passed a new law. Let's now assume that Canada has passed a new law, which aiming at the elimination of guns. Then in order to enforce this, the government will need to collect and confiscate all the firearms from its people. So guess what will happen next? All the good people will hand over their guns and all bad people will hide their guns, so that all the good people will not have guns and all bad people will have guns. And moreover, it is illegal for police to search for the hidden guns if they don't have actual evidence. So it is possible for criminals to keep their guns. And as a result, as soon as everyone is prohibited to have guns to protect themselves, criminals can then launch a homicide without a concern that their victims may also carry guns to fight back. So based on these, although it may be an effective method to prevent innocent people from mass shootings or other terrorist attacks in the long run, prohibiting guns would also create a chaos, which I believe is hard to avoid during the transitional period from selling firearms to banning firearms. So to make it more important, our democracy is advocated by guns. Canada is a free, fair, and diverse country where everyone has the right to participate in political decisions and to express their own opinions. But one of the reasons why people's voices matters is because of they, if necessary, are able to use guns to protect their fundamental human rights and freedoms, as well as the ability to protest a law or even overthrow a government. So for instance, if a government passes a new law such as conscription or dictatorship, which people totally cannot put up with. Guns will be the indispensable weapons for people to stand up for themselves. So in other words, guns help create a balance between the federal government and the citizens, so they will respect each other and together make Canada a great place. And on the other hand, does prohibiting guns really help prevent crime rate from increasing? So to answer this question, let's again review the Holocaust, which happened in the same years as all German citizens were disarmed by their government. During the Holocaust, Jews were not treated as humans, and 2/3 of the Jewish population in Europe were killed. They were banned to be educated and were only allowed to do hard labors. And as soon as they could not work, they were killed in a poison gas room. But Germany is not the only country where this happened. So for example, China and Russia, they also aimed their gun to their own citizens after passing a national firearms control law. From these tragedies, we can somehow see that prohibiting guns is kind of useless in reducing crime rates. And instead, it may put citizens into an invisible danger. So, I think that guns should always be available for all of us, for all the citizens in Canada. So the federal government, having a limited power, would serve its citizens instead of command them. So again, in my opinion, guns